Exactly 8:20 a.m. and we're moving on to our first interview for the morning. We understand that there are calls for strong action and accountability after the Pan-African Parliament sitting in Midrand ended in physical violence, walkouts, shouting, and desperate calls for the police to intervene. So whilst that comedy was playing out there, and I know that it's been ongoing since Monday. Don't know what the situation is going to be like today. Let's talk to senior political analyst, Dr. Charles Sinkala. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners and the viewers.
It's, apart from being quite a comedy playing out there, and obviously disappointment on the part of us as ordinary citizens, because these are meant to be leaders, leaders all different countries, and then they behave in such a childish manner. I'm just wondering about the signal it sends out to us as the general public. How can we continue having confidence in these people? And then the question to be asked as well is this organization really going to take us forward as an African continent with leadership like this at its helm? Will they truly be able to move us forward in the direction we need to be moving in?
Yeah, thank you very much. Until recently, I had to realize that also, as much as we've got leaders in the continent, we've got also misleaders who misleads us in the governance of our resources. But to take you to Pan-African Parliament, it is the factions which has been there for many years. You must remember Pan-Africanism in early 1960s had two factions, one which started in 1957 and the other one which was initiated in 1969. So the ESTWA was established by the former president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah. They call it the Casablanca Bloc. But the other one was also established by the Algerian former president, which they call the Brazzaville. The Brazzaville one is the one which is dominated by the Francophone countries. And they believed that those who were colonized or those who were indoctrinated by the French forces are better off than us from the English Anglophone countries. And these divisions hasn't stopped there. This is the reason why leadership, they want to concentrate it from those western region of the western part of Africa. But, in these dying moments of the 21st century, really, we are human beings who have established ourselves with very good technology and an understanding of working together as African leaders. And these representatives are represented in their constituencies from respective countries, being hosted here in Midrand in South Africa. So we can't allow such behavior from adults behaving like they needed adult supervision. We expect them to iron out these issues before they escalate to that. And I think it boils down to the speaker of Pan-African Parliament, the leadership. How do they allow such events to take precedence?
Okay, Dr. Sinkala, let's understand why the Pan-African Parliament was formed. I'm also thinking about the African Union. They play a pivotal role as far as, bringing African leaders together and doing work and moving the African continent into the 21st century and truly be world leaders in every sense of the word. So, do they have teeth? What are they all about? Who are they serving? Supposed to be serving, obviously, the entire African continent. But what is their role? What is their key role? Very especially and you ask the question, They don't want rotation of leadership. What does that tell you as well? And that is what the fracas was all about, was it not? Because they don't want to share leadership. They want to, the northern parts of Africa wants to hold on to the leadership of PAP, Pan-African Parliament. And they just, it's almost as if they refuse to recognize or even trust leadership of Central and Southern Africa?
Yes, of course. I think that is very important question. As I alluded to the formation of the Pan-Africanism in Africa, Pan-African Parliament is a Chapter 9 institution of the Organization of African Unity, now the AU. Um, it was conceived by the other faction, which was led by Kwame Nkrumah in 1957 and endorsed in Addis Ababa. Remember, this Pan-African Parliament, if it was first established in Addis Ababa before it was transferred to South Africa here in Midrand, because of the people from the southern part and the central part of Africa complained of being not being included into the leadership of the AU. So the main reason for the formation of AU was simply because the agitators of the independence of African countries, they needed an independent body that these countries, if they independently they get independence, they will need a watchdog which will oversee all the countries' operations and making sure that the countries are performing in a way that is in plight with the African plight. But the idea was they needed to have independent office bearers as opposed to the African heads of states and government. Like now, you can't be a referee and a player at the same time. So you can see that the chairperson of the AU now is President Felix Tshisekedi, who is the president of Democratic Republic of Congo. So how on earth can they appoint somebody who has failed the leadership of Democratic Republic of Congo? Is the only country I know that there is a lot of refugees who are produced each and every day, human abuse and all that of failed management and all that type of thing. So he can't monitor himself in terms of the right of the organization. So, but since the heads of states and government who are the leaders in this AU cannot meet, hence the Pan-African Parliament was established, that members of parliament from all countries, they can come and discuss and see how to run the country. But of course, yes, their only power now, it is not of that full legislative power. That's why they are fighting for a full legislative power so that they can make decisions in terms of beyond the sovereign countries on the continent. In 2014 already, when the Pan-African Parliament opened, I think it was opened by former President Zuma, they adopted a protocol that they must give the full legislative function to a Pan-African Parliament and the AU in particular to have an oversight to hold governments on the continent to account. But this treaty, only 11 out of 54 African countries has ratified it. The other ones, they said, no, this is our sovereign states. We do not want interference from a different body outside. So this is the reason why they are toothless. They are now have only advisory function, advisory and consultative function, which really means absolutely nothing because they are not even vocal. They cannot suspend a country in terms of membership because these countries, especially like South Africa, they are the biggest funders in terms of their funding programs and the income of the AU.
Obviously, South African taxpayers are going to be up in arms about this issue. It seems like there are a whole host of talking heads, all talk and no action. and wasting taxpayers' money. And all of these people that are representing their different governments or their different countries, seems that when they do get together for these meetings, which really doesn't produce anything of substance, are just enjoying a free holiday or a free break away from home. Do you think that's the reason why Julius Malema was up in arms as well? I mean, that ended badly because he threatened to kill someone, in that outburst of his. Though somebody else was saying, the Speaker of the House suggested that it was a statement that was taken out of context. Your thoughts?
In terms of that statement of attempting to threat somebody, killing somebody, it is a public domain. Everybody heard. You cannot take something out of context when a leader such as him, who commands a certain population in South Africa and as well inspires the other Africans on the continent, can raise up his voice to tell another representative of the African continent, that I'm gonna kill you, and he comes back and say it is out of context. I'm not a judge, or am I a Jewish prophet, or no, I pretend to be one, but I'll leave that decision to the public to judge these leaders who are representing us. But of course, we need disagreements, but disagreements should not tend to violence. The other issue which has exacerbated this violence in Pan-African Parliament is because more than 120 members of Parliament has been sworn in, and there's quite a big, huge energy of the youths who are demanding that the old guards must be removed because they haven't been performing. If you check on their performance from 2004, there's hardly, any meaningful performance. You've never heard of Pan-African Parliament standing up, or including the AU, in terms of violences on the continent, in terms of xenophobia attacks in South Africa, which we normally have. It's like an annual jamboree, insurgencies in terms of peace and security in Mozambique. Citizens of South Africa are dying, and citizens of Mozambique are dying. They do not come from those type of issues. They only concentrate on consuming the money and living luxury, and the stipend which they are given in that parliament. So we need leaders who can act on the mandate of the people, address the issues, and not to address personal issues. Yes, the differences has been as a result of factionalism, but can we adopt an official language which we all can speak? Like now, English is spoken by more than 1.4 billion people in the world already. It has become a major communication mode of language. I see China, Russia, and many other um, countries which never spoke English before. They have adopted English as a universal language. So it's not undermining the Francophone French-speaking countries, which are only 14 in the continent. The majority of the people speak English. So if we can have some cultural interaction, to shorten the distances between our cultures, and have an understanding, and I'm sure we can have the working progress to achieve certain goals that we would like for Africa.
My final question to you, Dr. Charles Sinkala, is how do we move forward? Is this an organization that we should shut down, or do we change leadership completely? And what is going to happen to the people that were involved in the fisticuffs on Monday, and to Julius Malema? I understand the Speaker of the House was kicked. She was heard. The person who was involved in that little altercation apologized and said it was done by mistake. He hadn't intended to kick her, but in all of, obviously, the confusion, she was hurt as well. So how do we move forward on all of these issues?
Yeah, one point, since you touched on that fracas, it was very disappointing that Honorable Pemi, who is the chief whip of South African Parliament, she had to raise up herself from the seat where she was comfortable to go and diffuse conflict. You do not do that. We've heard about what happened in Chad. The president of Chad went into the battlefield without being prepared, and you end up being killed. You can't go to the battlefront and start complaining of gender-based violence. Yes, any arm which will be raised against a woman is condemned, but can we look at the causation as well? How we cause these issues, how we find ourselves in the victim area. Yes, they have apologized as leaders. I knew that they are adults. I'm sure some adult supervision was done, especially from a ministry of Department of International Relations, who is chaired by the Leonard Naledi Pando, because she oversees that function as an organ of Organization of African Unity, which is AU. Going forward, we would like them to to address issues. I think this issue of rotational presentation, it is actually baseless, because it does not give any value. This is why they are fighting from the central and the southern part of Africa. It's not about having rotational leadership, one from Nigeria, one from East Africa, one from South Africa, but we need to appoint people based on meritocracy and political hygiene, those leaders who can lead the continent, regardless of where they come from. You see, America, have given time and again an example. America does not mind who is the president. You can see the presidents who's been there, some from Kenya, some from Israel. The current president is from Ireland. They don't mind who comes there. But what matters is the performance of that leadership. So they must look at actually changing, instead of elections, the head of this organ must be an application as a member of staff who is appointed as, say, a chief executive officer to perform a certain function, rather than an appointee in terms of elections and representative from the branches, from constituencies.
Very quickly, we need to end the interview. Are you confident that PAP can move forward and start addressing issues that they were mandated to address? Is there
Of
hope
course,
for
if
this
we pass,
organization?
definitely, and if we pass the stage of maturity, understanding what is our objective, and putting everything together, I'm sure we can do it. But if we can't, because they've been fighting for the past couple of years without any meaningful, then we need to look at an alternative. Already, my organization, where I'm president, Africa 55 States, which allows non-state actors to perform and they contribute to that parliament. We've got a youth parliament for the Africans to participate. You cannot participate in African Pan-African Parliament because you are not a member of Parliament. So going forward, we're giving them chance and opportunity to get to adults level positions. If they can't, then the latter shall take precedence.
Dr. Charles Sinkala, thank you indeed for your thoughts on this matter. We value it very much and your time. Have a great day and goodbye.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's exactly 8:38. We need to take an ad break, and when we get back, we will be talking to, I'm not sure if Darby Root is available. I've just been told that he's had a family medical emergency. So let's see what our producers have lined up for us for the next interview. Do stay with us.